Hello everyone and welcome to game number 1 in our best of 5 finals between Cubit 32 and Gameslayer. Gameslayer going to be a newcomer to the finals of an Offworld tournament, going to be trying to take down one of the previous champions in Cubit 32, so he does have an uphill battle going for him. That said, this map's a little awkward, so maybe he has a chance here to do something strange and get a nice advantage. That Scavenger HQ.
Scavenger. Wow, that's interesting.
It's bold.
I was looking at that spot as scientific, for sure.
I'm calling it bold. That's my word for it.
Yeah.
There are no underground nukes this game, so that's pretty important considering the Scavenger found. There are a lot of chemicals being consumed, so maybe that cheap carbon will allow Cubit to transition a little more effectively.
Yeah.
Both players already sitting in a ridiculous amount of aluminum.
You mean to say good luck, have fun?
I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know if the players can actually read my chat. I think they can. Trying to remind them that it's a best of 5 here, but...
Yeah. I'm so surprised he found it first there as Scavenger. It's such an interesting move. Maybe it was the chemicals that made him think that way.
I've already won. I found it with 32k. Dad says Cubit. All right. That is his favorite amount of debt to found with, of course. So,
yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, in all seriousness, I feel like Cubit went way too early there.
It did feel like Cubit founded really early. Now, if you're going to found early, I mean, you can do Scavenger pretty effectively most of the time.
Yeah, but there's 2 solid spots in this map, at least. So there's no reason to go 32,000 in debt.
I mean, it would have purely been the high aluminum mine. That's the thing that really decided that.
Yep, that's true. That's true. It's a good point. I mean, there is a lack of aluminum. Where's the silicon on this map? And you're also a little closer to the only patch of silicon.
Well, there are 2 patches of silicon, but there's only one good patch. The other patch, it has more silicon, but it's real far away.
Be interested to see if they fight over that patch of silicon nearer to Cubit, because Cubit does really need that spot, right? He does not want to go all the way to the other side.
I'm going to watch this Scavenger HQ upgrade, because we can. Alright, it looks like it's done already. Never mind. It really does give the impression of being unfinished at HQ level 3.
That's the first time I've seen it. I mean, I think the Scavengers are always supposed to be kind of unfinished. That's kind of their
Fair enough. I just like the crane in the middle of everything. Oh, man. So Gameslayer, behind on the upgrades right now. Shouldn't take him too long to get to that next one, but only producing off of one farm feels really restrictive. I mean, that's kind of the downside of where he's founded. Is, yeah, he's got water, but it's not very good water, if we're being honest.
I would have found it closer to the water and just dealt with the fact that I'd be shipping steel.
Yeah, that definitely... I mean, it's an option, although I gotta say, against Pirates and Magnetic Storms, it's not one I would take personally. Yeah. Especially against a Scavenger. But, I mean, I think it's okay. My bigger concern is actually the fact that Gameslayer put down this water pump when he's up against a non-scientist and it's only a low water tile. I mean, how much money did that honestly pull in?
It's making 3... alright, it's already gone.
Yeah. But I think it's just been down for way too long already.
He may have just been trying to make sure that Cubit didn't get all of that early water money, but...
Yeah. I also kind of wanted to yell about these aluminum mines. I mean, it's 2 aluminum mines when your opponent's already into aluminum mines, but and you can see aluminum's down to $1. He can just transition again, and I think he should, pretty much like yesterday at this point, but... Of course, with nighttime on the way, it's not really a super huge priority for the next few seconds here.
This is not an auction for drugs. No, these are perfectly legal high-performance dietary supplements.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
5,000, 7,000.
I do like that. Didn't those switch away from like being called Adrenaline Boost for a while, and then they went back?
Oh yeah, it had some weird name.
Yeah, it was a really weird name. I'm glad we settled on Adrenaline Boost here. Oh man.
16,000.
Those dietary supplements just getting the work done. That's very expensive to pay for them, though. Of course, I guess dietary supplements usually are overly expensive, so that's fair enough.
It's hard to know how to value Adrenaline Boost. I feel like I'm willing to bid high for them in a game with a lot of players, knowing that I could use them later on an off-road market. But it seems like in this game, you're probably just going to end up being hit by an EMP if you try to use it.
That's one thing I actually like about Cubit that not a lot of players do. A lot of people will go for that, man, I want to adrenaline boost my off-world and it's going to be so good, it's going to be amazing.
Right.
And then it just gets blown up eventually anyway, because especially with 30-second goon squads. Whereas Cubit's just like, I got an adrenaline boost. What can I use it on? Bam, done. I want that bonus now. Because, of course, the early bonus is always worth more, right? Not always necessarily worth more overall, but an early $5,000 is worth more than a late $5,000.
Yeah.
So, just something interesting about the way Cubit thinks about the game compared to everybody else.
He has no more than 2 buildings together anywhere, also. So he doesn't really have a good natural... I mean, he probably just would boost his geotherm if he had got it. And there we go. Gameslayer is boosting his solar and aluminum. We'll see if Cubit responds. He could hit with a power surge right now if he wants to.
Well,
He's got the money.
Okay. Yeah, he could.
I mean, I think he totally should. I mean, they're probably not goon squatted, so... Oh, nope, now they are goon
They
squatted.
are goon squatted.
All right,
A little bit.
he's trying to tempt him.
This is interesting. Gameslayer was also the one to push into Silicon already, which I'm a little nervous about because he couldn't get both, and now Cubit could just like take the other 2 and be in a way better position, but Cubit's not doing that just yet. Instead, he did move into those chem labs we talked about so long ago at HQ level 1.
And they're making quite a bit of money.
Well, that solar flare is irrelevant. I mean, not completely, right? But at this point, like, power's just falling off so fast.
Look at that graph. That's amazing. Especially with one player hardly making any power.
That adrenaline-boosted solar flare with 2 solar panels just killed power completely. Oh, man. Ridiculous. Alright, extra silicon quarry for Gameslayer. I definitely like that. That's going to be a lot of money over to him. Like, that building, putting that down, basically gives him like an extra $160 a second.
And getting that second one, it basically, I mean, I just don't see Cubit even trying to get silicon there now. So, I really like that he's got those 2 silicons. I agree. Pleasure Dome. All right, how much is it worth?
Oh, look at the
It
fancy
should be worth about $100 a second. And of course, power is a non-entity, so.
And of course, Gameslayer is in the game, so you know that price went insane.
Oh, there you go, $100.
$100 on the money. I'm too distracted by the labs because they look so much better now.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Did it get buffed in an update? No.
We're not
I
surprised.
don't think so, at least.
Just
Not
Pleasure Dome,
recently.
no.
interested in you.
It's getting the bonus because it's next to 4
Right,
habitats.
exactly. It's got 4. That's kind of what I was thinking.
It might even get 5 or 6. I mean, it's in a pretty nice spot.
Good. $100 a second, though. That's... It amuses me because Gameslayer basically used the debt from the adrenaline boost to pay down the debt from the adrenaline boost, and then took it all on again anyway for a Pleasure Dome. So,
Boy, if chemicals wasn't so high, I'd be tempted to go to Patent Lab if I was Gameslayer. So you get virtual reality and teleportation. Then you could put your glass on top of that the silicon instead. But
yeah.
but that price of chemicals, no way.
But yeah, I feel like just starting with so many labs down really does lock you out of any patent lab or engineering lab, like outside outlier possibility in the 1v1 game. It's just so expensive. Give me that money. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, he was ready to take that right away.
I mean, if I were Gameslayer, I'd honestly just throw a power surge at that thing.
He's just beating you back.
I mean, maybe the chem labs were a better option.
Well, he just did something else because he's on a cooldown.
Yeah, he hit the intelligent target, the chem labs. I would have hit the emotional target.
Well, Cubit's done a really great job of splitting his buildings up. I love his arrangement. I mean, it's just so hard to know where to hit him. He should have hit him actually on the water.
Yeah, one thing I am concerned about with Cubit is aluminum's like $70 now, and there's a dust storm.
Look at carbon. Throw down some
So-
pirates, Gameslayer.
Well, and that's actually just raw carbon.
Wow.
That's not stockpiled. That's not anything. That is literally
Yeah.
just the carbon price. Which,
I'll buy pirates.
That's what happened right now. Gameslayer moved into that off-world market. It is half done at this point, but...
Oh, that's what boosted the price. Yep, okay, that makes sense.
Well, I don't even know what caused the carbon price to go nuts besides just the Chem Labs getting thrown down and the upgrade from Cubit.
Oh, Gameslayer went
Yeah,
off-world.
Gameslayer went off-world.
Yeah, it's still kind of a mystery. Maybe it was from Cubit upgrading?
Yeah, I think it was just the upgrade plus the buildings plus the Chem Labs, you know. All these things slowly add up, and, well, you get a high carbon price.
Interesting choice here. You know, do you go for, what do you think is better, going to level 5 or building an off-world?
I think that's usually entirely dependent on the off-world prices, which aren't, once again, spectacular. They're acceptable. But the thing is, I really hate going off-world against a scavenger.
Yeah.
Because they'll just blow you up, and it's the worst feeling in the world, and Goon Squads only defend for 30 seconds of your 60-second cooldown, and it's awful.
Yeah, I mean, Cubit already is sitting on 2, on Mutiny and a Power Surge.
Yeah, so he's ready to go. I mean, that said, Gameslayer has already defended himself once. Getting a Mutiny thrown at him is kind of great, because it's an extra defensive tool if he gets hit by a Mutiny. He's not going to save it for that.
Yeah.
Takes that medium tile away instead. Cubit's still sitting on a claim.
It's interesting. There's only 2 black market items that apply to tiles, however.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So that's, I mean,
but you're still against a scavenger.
Yeah, if I was Gameslayer, though, I would at least, as much as possible, buy as many of those 2 items as you can, just to drive up that price.
Ooh. See, this is why I think that Gameslayer made a huge combination of mistakes here. Just, he chose to buy his 4th bit of stock instead of a Goon Squad. He chose to throw his Mutiny at his opponent instead of waiting to counter Mutiny if he got Mutinied again.
Yep, he should have held on to the Mutiny. Totally agree.
And it's like, both of these things combined, I think, caused him some major problems. I think he's actually canceled that launch. I don't think he ever got the launch off.
Well, he wanted to...
yeah, he wanted to secure stock, and that's fine. But he could have, if he just threw down, he had time to acquire an additional Goon Squad. He did. Just barely, but it was there. If he hadn't bought that 4th stock, he could have bought the Goon Squad, put it down, guaranteed the launch. Yeah, Instead, he just canceled it and wasted all this time. It drives me nuts.
I think the bigger mistake was using that Mutiny on the carbon.
I think they were both massive errors, quite frankly. But you might be right that one was slightly more massive, but once you're up at error level 10,000 and you move to error level 12,000, I'm not sure it makes a difference at that stage.
Yeah. But the nice thing about mutinying it back, I mean, I can't believe that Cubit used the Mutiny to begin with, because because you do not want your opponent to have a Mutiny in that situation. But when you Mutiny back your off-world, you know it's safe. You know it's a safe move. I mean, Cubit's not going to put a Goon Squad on the Mutinied off-world.
Well, it is Cubit we're talking about.
Well, you never know, but...
he does that. I would if I had the time.
How many times this off-world's been mutinied? Is this the 4th mutiny?
Or so. I mean, we can... I wonder how many mutinies have actually been used this game.
It's 3 in the chat log right now.
Yeah, I mean, Cubit's bought 4, Gameslayer has bought 3. They haven't all gone on the off-world, but enough have at this point.
Cubit is very close to D. Although he's got plenty of cash, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he can definitely pay that down. I mean, it'll cost him some money. Maybe long-term it will make a difference. I mean, eventually these mutinies are going to run out. Period. The question is, does Cubit manage to push to what he requires before then? Now he's in that D level of debt, and he's about halfway, almost halfway to what he needs.
I mean, the one thing Cubit has is he wants this game to go as long as possible.
Does he?
Well, he's got the off-world, right? I mean, that's his only shot.
For now. Gameslayer wants this game to go as long as possible?
I would assume so. I mean,
okay, you said Cubit. It was very confusing. I agree with your assessment, not the words that you used to try and express it.
What did I say?
You said Cubit.
Oh, I meant Gameslayer, sorry.
It's very confusing. At least I heard Cubit. Maybe I'm going insane. I don't know. Power price is up at $230 right now, so it is nice to see that solar panel transition coming out of Gameslayer, and Cubit actually adding a geotherm with that last claim that he just never used for so long. So, worked out well for him, able to adjust to this power market. Ooh, Cubit not going to get a launch out of this mutiny. He is going to need to mutiny again if he wants it.
Oh, that's interesting. Gameslayer doesn't realize that, but...
Yeah, he's not going to know.
not much Cubit's gonna be able to do about it.
Although I would honestly, if I were Gameslayer, I would seriously consider dropping a spy on my own.
Well, it doesn't matter now. Mutinies are up at $30,000, so at this point they're almost cost prohibitive.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, at this point, Cubit just needs to build his own Offworld. I mean, it's time. It's only $77,000 total.
I mean, he's close to just ending this game. I mean, you talk only $70,000. $70,000 is what he needs to finish.
That's true. That's a good point.
And with this water coming in, he might be able to pull it off. He is going to actually choose to defend himself, though. And if you're defending yourself, maybe the Offworld, yeah, that's what he's going to go ahead and do. So Cubit not going to take the bold move of just going straight after his opponent's throat. He is going to defend himself by
I don't
stock.
like that.
I don't like that either, because he's in D levels of debt, right?
I mean, now's the time for Gameslayer to mutiny that Offworld. It's not protected, and Cubit's in D.
or
so
just, yeah, I mean, mutiny, power surge, once it's
Gameslayer
done.
can afford it. He's got the $25,000 he needs to buy the mutiny.
I mean, don't mutiny it now.
Well, obviously, but
But yeah, you start building up that black market that your opponent doesn't have, an upgrade lab. Well, I mean, I guess you can actually use that this game, right?
yep. Now, this is the reason why I put this auction in there. So Cubit, did Cubit jump out of D debt to get a goon squad? Is that what he did? 'Cause he was at C debt for a second. It doesn't look like he bought
I think
anything.
maybe that was Cook the Books running active for a little while. I
Oh,
don't
Cook with the
know,
books,
you
of
know,
course. I'm
just-
surprised that they haven't bought that more.
It is
These
up
are
at
the-
9,000. That
me look
is
at the
6,000 more than usual.
Yeah. Cook the books. Cubit's bought it twice. Gameslayer's bought it once.
Yeah. Both of them have been using it
So
sparingly.
the fact that Cubit's in D debt and he's bought Cook the Books twice is a sign of just how badly in debt he is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is not
185,000.
comfortable. Well, and it was interesting. Once again, you actually saw Cubit kind of the opposite of last game, where Cubit went for the geotherm, Gameslayer went for the solar panels, and the instantaneous power won out in paying down Gameslayer's debt.
Oh, that Offworld is still unprotected, and Gameslayer knows it's unprotected.
Yeah, he's got a spy down. I mean,
He chooses to freeze
90
instead of mute
seconds.
it.
I like it.
And-
Well,
so
the
it's
freeze was so
Overwatch.
much cheaper, and
Yeah.
he didn't have money sitting around right now. Like, he hasn't been sitting on giant piles of cash. And I don't really know why that is.
Yeah.
Where did... Oh, because he upgraded. Fair enough. He finally got to HQ level 5. Moved into all of this water that he found next to earlier. I'll take it. Sure, why not? Glass is looking kind of dumb this game, and I'd really like to see Gameslayer move into it instead of these solar panels. That is probably what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. I also like to hit the farms because the one way maybe Gameslayer can climb into this game is if Cubit spirals out a little bit. It looks like I don't think that's going to happen because of Cook the Books, but he's in a much better position debt-wise.
Well, I mean, he still has 200,000. That's
Yeah,
a
but he
lot.
only needs to get to Cubit only needs to get to 176 to get to C debt.
All right.
Wait.
I mean, I don't think it's quite
No,
that low.
actually now to get
Isn't
to
it like
B debt.
120?
Well,
he needs?
the issue is he's cooked the books so many times.
Well, yeah.
So he can basically run with a lot higher debt than you would normally.
It's very complicated.
Yeah, well, if you mouse over the pay debt button, it'll tell you what your threshold is.
At 132 for Gameslayer. At 177 for Cubit. All right, fair enough.
Wow, this game's going deep. So who got the Cubit got the upgrade lab?
Yep.
I think that's going to pay off.
I think that is going to pay off pretty
I
massively.
lost track. How much did you buy that for?
I think 10,000.
That seems low.
I still can't scroll chat
Yeah,
and
yeah,
check.
yeah.
It's
I
fine.
know,
It's fine.
I
It's
know.
fine. Look, you're here. I just can't help it. But yeah, I really do like the upgrade lab this game. I mean, he's already got 2 food, 1 water, 1 oxygen,
Oh, that's great.
and that's just fantastic. Now, of
Those are
course,
pay off
his
so well.
water's frozen right now, and that's making everything a little more complicated combined with this dust storm. And I really don't like, actually, that he committed to 2 food so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you
I
don't
mean, it's
really
gonna
like
come down-
oxygen either, but maybe the
Yeah.
water was what he should have focused on first.
I mean, this is the one point where they've gone deep into the game, and Gameslayer is scientific, right? This is where scientific shines. I mean, you look at his farms and reactors and pump; they're making an insane amount of money.
Oh yeah, ridiculous.
Much more than Cubit, whose farms are actually just losing money, even with 2 upgrades.
Well, that dust storm.
Could you imagine if Gameslayer got that upgrade lab?
Yes.
I feel
yes,
like
can.
he'd have the. I would consider him having the lead if he got that upgrade lab at this
Yeah.
point.
At this stage, though, he certainly does not, I have to say. Not going after the off-world market, which I think was fine, actually, because he went after the water pumps. Didn't get what he wanted out of them, considering Cubit was thinking enough to goon squad his high water tile, but...
Yeah. I think, you got 2 gooned off swirls. I think they're just going to be leaving each other alone at this point.
Well, I mean, Gameslayer did commit to another off-world, and it does have a spy watching it.
Yeah.
So...
Cubit needs to drop knowing how the new rules work, he needs to drop a power surge on the farm just to the west of Gameslayer's Offworld. It would just go straight down the line and probably clean up all of his water buildings. You would knock out...
beneficial.
You would knock out about... Wow. You would knock out about $2,000 of production. Well, maybe $1,500 of production a second.
A lot.
That would end the game, I think.
I like this mutiny, though. That's what I was waiting on this whole time. And immediately frozen. All right, yeah. I'll take it. It doesn't actually freeze it for all that long, though. The amusing part of being scientific, you turn a power surge on it yourself, and it just doesn't work out all that well. And he did intend to mutiny, it looks like, rather than power surge. That would have made a bit more sense, Gameslayer.
Wait, I'm surprised it works that way.
That
he shouldn't have gotten
the reduced bonus.
At that point, it's Cubit's building. Does Cubit have thinking machines or something like that?
I doubt it.
No.
Nope.
I'll just have to take.
Well, then you'll have to note that and back to the drawing board or something. I don't know. Alright, it does look like this one's going to clean up pretty quickly. Cubit's managed to develop $280,000 worth of cash and resources of the 350 he needs. I really do think this upgrade lab was massive.
I think that was the difference. Totally agree. And as a first of all, it's an upgraded one. Its patents are what 30% faster, and
are they?
Man, you can make because it's next to 3 tool shops.
Oh, yeah, it is. I didn't even spot that.
And man, you can do so many things with an upgrade lab when you're a scientific.
I thought those were warehouses. I just got confused.
I mean, look at his reactors that are making 200 a second.
Yeah.
If they had 2 upgrades, what is that? He'd be making, well over 300 a second for those buildings. That's probably more than the Offworld is making, net for you.
Well, especially after that fight over them with all that black market and such. It's just Gameslayer paid down debt. He doesn't want to give it up just yet.
Oh, man. He's trying to knock Cubit's playtime down.
No, trying to knock Cubit into debt, and maybe, I guess with only this hour to play, we might end up having to come back to this one at the end of the day.
He's praying for rain, I guess. Yeah, I really wish we could have seen what would have happened in this game if Gameslayer got the upgrade lab.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a very close game if that had happened.
I'm just going to stare at this scavenger HQ while we wait for Gameslayer to die.
Wow, Gameslayer's out of debt. He's actually making money off the power.
Oh, yeah.
Matter, but
he's got this now. Never mind. There we go. Finally, we have a dead Gameslayer. And a bit more of an exciting game number 1 than usual. So, probably a well-deserved finals. Although, yeah, $32,000 for that found. You gotta admit, Cubit survived, but man, did he need Cook the Books this game.
Yeah. Well, it is fair. I was hard on Cubit for founding early, but it is true that if Cook for the Books is in the game, you can definitely found early. It gives you a lot of protection for that.
Especially as a scavenger, I would say.
Definitely.
Just because you don't get all that much debt because you don't have to make steel. Man, game number 1, that was long. That was long. I mean, we almost got to day 10.
Day 10, yep. Well, that's one of the reasons I added. That's why I boosted the initial stock up to 2.
Right. It was going. We were seeing almost exclusively majority buys.
Yeah. So I want a little bit of both.
Yeah, that's fair, I think. I honestly did think that was a reasonable change for
Yeah.
Cook the Books purchased by Cubit.
Yeah, I mean, this game could have got. I really think that Gameslayer could have won if he got that upgrade lab.
I think it would have made a really big difference, especially because, I mean, that's money in Gameslayer's pocket that Cubit doesn't have, and he let it go for really cheap, in my opinion.
So, you know, it which means that it's good this game went long because I think he had a chance.
For sure. I think he did. Although that second Offworld market, like, I don't know. Because...
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think if Gameslayer... Like, I think there were a large number of mistakes that allowed Cubit to stay in the game despite his ridiculous amount of debt.
Mm-hmm.
And if any one of them had been resolved, then Gameslayer has a much better shot that game.
Yeah.
But with mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, eventually they're going to pile up enough so that even when your opponent is in $200,000 of debt, you still can't quite overcome it.
Well, I would have loved to see what Financial Instruments could have done in this game, because when you're artificially keeping your bond rating low, it's like, yeah, your bond rating is low, but you still have a ton of debt.
Well, let's find out. Summary. Artificial Instruments made Cubit $23,000 this game. Or sorry, Financial Instruments made him $23,000.
Yeah, I'm just. Well, wait. How much interest did Cubit pay for the game?
$171,000.
Yeah, so Gameslayer could have gotten
More.
I mean, theoretically, a quarter of that. Obviously, that's not actually true, but you know, he could have probably gotten $30-some thousand from Cubit with Financial Instruments.
Probably. That entertainment revenue, $100,000 for Gameslayer that game. So that was pretty good. Sold
Yeah.
Offworld was almost exactly equal between these two players. It looks like about the same number of launches, just Gameslayer getting the upper end of them.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Interesting, the Gameslayer went to the mat for the Pleasure Dome, which turned out to be a great choice, but not for the upgrade lab.
Well, in his defense, I don't really have a defense for that, to be honest. It's just like, yeah, $10,000 upgrade lab, why not? It's not usual. It's not something that players are used to having to deal with.
Yeah, people are still having to adapt to it.
Right.
Yeah. That and not saving the mutiny. I think those are the crucial things. All right, well, we probably should jump to the next game.
We should. I'm just staring at this resources sold thing and looking at Cubit having a 500,000 advantage there and being like, yup, that'll do it.
Someone asked